So to begin things off, the number 10 spot is going to go to the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars line. All right, so Pre-Vizsla, this is a character that a lot of people have been asking for a very long time now. Whether or not people want his season 2 or 3 look, or even his season 4 or 5 look, people want a Pre-Vizsla regardless. And we finally got it. However, though, the thing about this figure that really is a letdown for most people, and for me is a letdown as well, is that this figure is on the Jango Fett body mold. Now, this mold, here's the thing. That mold came out when it first was released. It was back in 2016, back during the Force Awakens days, basically. And at that time, and here's just the thing about action figures nowadays, is that action figures nowadays really have changed so much in technology that a figure from like 4 or 5 years ago is now considered to be obsolete. And Hasbro, I don't really understand what was their decision making here, decided to basically just go ahead and reuse the Jango Fett body mold. And this body mold is very top heavy. It's really hard to stand, and pretty much is just really an outdated mold. Now, one thing that I will kind of give to this figure, and this is the reason why it's number 10 on the list, is because I think it looks cool. I still think it looks cool, and I did have a pretty cool time posing Pre-Vizsla with my Clone Wars Darth Maul. But I mean, just because that this figure, looks cool doesn't really mean that it's a great figure. So yeah, this is why it's number 10 on the list. Coming in at number 9 has to go to the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Clone Commando from the Bad Batch line. All right, so this Clone Commando was a part of the Walmart exclusive Bad Batch figures, and I was actually pretty excited to get this one. However, when I unboxed this figure, I really have to just be honest. It really just kind of disappointed me. And now here's the thing about the Clone Commandos, is that I was fully aware that this was on the Hunter mold. As for all these Clone Commandos, they're all on that mold. But here's really the reason why that this is on the list. First of all, the figure is hard to stand, and if a figure can't stand on its own, then that automatically makes it a pretty bad figure in my eye, or a pretty, not great figure in my eye. And also, by the way, something else I also wanted to address here too was that also on my version, the white is just not consistent all around. It's a different shade of white all around. And just overall, it just doesn't look good. And it's like pretty much at this point, I think Hasbro really desperately needs to create a brand new mold for the Clone Commando. I don't think they can continue doing this. But I don't really know if we'll ever get it. Maybe we'll never get it. But that's just my opinion, just right there. Okay, so now this next one is, okay, well, this requires a little bit more of a discussion. So numbers 8, 7, and 6 are right here, Val Surtha, Mon Mothma, and Bix Kalin, and all these are from the Andor line. Okay, now, here's the thing about really the Andor series, is that I want to just go ahead and just say right off the bat, it is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media. But however, though, when it comes to that show, if I really gotta be honest, it really is not that heavy action figure, heavy material. It's not a very sort of, for example, which, for a show for example, which, The Book of Boba Fett, or a show like The Mandalorian, where it clearly is sort of more or less it's traditional Star Wars. It's pretty silly, pretty goofy, and all that sort of stuff. And really, when it comes to Andor is a very dark, gritty, and it's a show that's really based in reality, and all that sort of stuff. It's probably the most real Star Wars project out there, and that's really why I like it. But the reason why these figures are on the list is mostly just because of just action figure kind of ability. For Val, she's the coolest out of the bunch. But really, the thing about her is that, I mean, she was just kind of all right in the Andor series, I guess. I probably do have to go back and rewatch it, just so I can maybe appreciate her a little bit more. Mon Mothma, for all she is, basically is a traffic cone. I understand why she's there. Because we needed a Mon Mothma in the Black Series line for a very long time. And for Bix Colleen, this is just really like, it's a figure that you really kind of question yourself as to, wait, why did Hasbro make this? Yeah, so yeah, number 8, 7, and 6 all go to these three characters right here. All right, so now coming up to the number 5 spot is Tala from the Kenobi series. Now, this again might be again a very kind of controversial pick, but again, now here's really kind of the thing about some of these, Hasbro Stars Black Series figures is that, I mean, what really can easily make a figure is if a character, whether it comes from a movie or a TV show, if a character is cool, in my opinion, then I definitely would want a Hasbro Stars Black Series figure. But however, though, really when it comes to Tala, I just really got to be honest. This figure is just really just generic. I mean, really, the only novelty of this figure is that it's a female Imperial body. And it's, for a pretty unremarkable kind of character. The Kenobi series was pretty much unremarkable for how dumb it was. But that's besides the point. But yeah, though, I mean, again, just the novelty of this figure is just the simple fact of the matter is we finally got a female Imperial officer in the Black Series line. And this only just, and again, what kind of just sucks is that this character, or like, this is like the only reason kind of sort of why I just more or less picked this up is just maybe, like, the only reason why you're going to pick this up is for cannon fodder. I know a lot of custom makers are going to be making their own Dedra Miro. They're going to give her the white ISB, look to her. But of course, this figure, it's of a pretty unremarkable character. And overall, and here was actually was kind of funny was that I had this and the Cad Bane figure from the Cobb Vanth 2-pack come all in one day. And I did not unbox this figure until the next day. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, Tala is on the number. Tala is on the number 5 spot. Right. So coming up onto the number 4 spot has to go to Morak or Merrick or Morok or whatever his name is, however you pronounce it. Yeah, the guy that everyone thought was going to be Star Killer. Yeah, how that kind of aged well. But yeah, though, but no, this figure right here, though, Morak, here's just the thing about the figure is that the sculpt overall looks good for the most part, or it looks all right for the most part. I especially do like the helmet, but the thing is just really about this figure that really makes it a letdown is the paint. Now, Morak is gray in the Ahsoka series, but he's not this gray. And the rust is just way too much on this figure. It is just way too much on this one. And also for soft goods, it's a pretty crappy soft goods cape. And, just overall, I just didn't feel satisfied with this purchase. Like, I just didn't. I pretty much only got him just because for the Ahsoka collection and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, though, that video will eventually one of these days it will come out. I just don't have Balin or Shin yet, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the Morak is on the number 4 spot, and again, paint can easily make or break an action figure, in my opinion. So that's why he is number 4. So coming up at the number 3 spot has to go to Morgan Elsbeth. Now, you remember how I said earlier in the video how the Andor figures were not really kind of action, well, except for Val, weren't really much all that action, like, figure sort of quality, or weren't really all that action-oriented characters? Well, this one right here is a slap to the face to people. It's especially a slap in the face to a lot of Black Series collectors. Now, Morgan Elsbeth, of course, as we all know, in the Ahsoka series, and spoiler alert, is a Dathomirian witch, or at least okay. Point of the matter is, she's a Dathomirian witch, and in the series, as we saw, she did do some Dathomirian magic, and we also saw that she also had included, or I guess I should say, at the end of the series, she receives the Sword of Talzin. Spoiler alert there. You have this action-oriented character, and also an actress who is a martial artist, and for her action figure, you give her nothing. The biggest problem with this figure just has to be the lack of accessories. Like, this is just all, like, it just comes just like that, in the packaging. The photo you're seeing, that's all it comes with. And the only other thing that it comes with is that little pamphlet, that little kind of warning label, the caca, or what Sharmus Prime calls it, with all these Hasbro releases. So yeah, this release, honestly, is just super frustrating, and you just know that down the line, Hasbro is going to be like, oh, you want that? You wished we had include accessories? Well, we're going to do that, except we're going to re-release this figure again, and probably a 2-pack or something like that. Yeah, again, I just don't really like that. And here's just the thing about this figure. I really wish they could have included something. At least the Beskar Spear, I would have at least liked, because the Beskar Spear is not regularly released in the normal Black Series line. It was only released only one time in a Ahsoka and Mandalorian 2-pack. That was the only time. So yeah, so that's why Morgan Elsbeth is number 3 on the list. All right, we are now just barely getting down to the wire. Coming in at the number 2 spot has to go to the HK-87 Assassin Droid, the red version from the Ahsoka series. Now, what's actually kind of funny is that we have had 2 separate releases of the HK-87 Assassin Droid for the Black Series this year. There was one, the kind of sort of brownish kind of one from the Mandalorian, and then, of course, we have the red one from the Ahsoka series. Which, I mean, hey, I don't mind it. I mean, I actually like the HK-87 Assassin Droid look, especially. I thought, they were pretty cool in the Ahsoka series, in my opinion. I know some people might get offended by me saying that. I know we all want HK-47, but but we're not here to talk about that. Now, the reason why this figure is number 2 on the list and not number 1, because, well, really, here's the thing. The sculpt is not bad. The sculpt isn't bad at all. However, though, the biggest problem with this figure is, and I don't really know what it is. I just don't simply know. When I look at this figure, it just looks cheap. Like the plastic, it's done in this red plastic that makes the figure look cheap. It makes it look like those like dollar kind of store figures, like, or action figures that you would see like at your 99-cent store, or like your Family Dollar, or whatever, or whatever kind of, sort of more or less kind of 99-cent store you would go into. But I mean, yeah, again, I mean, this figure, it just looks cheap, and it also doesn't come with an electro staff, which pretty much what I had to do was that I pretty much had to give one of the electro staffs to this figure from my IG-100 droid, and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, yeah, though, this HK-87 figure just came out really bad, and eventually one of these days I have to do a repaint to this, like what what's his face did. Luke Landspeeder did. But yeah, though, this figure, and also, by the way, it can't stand for shit. That's another problem with these figures. The figures can't stand for shit. So if a figure can't stand up, why is it even an action figure? Why, if it can't stand on itself, it's a pretty shitty figure in my opinion. So yeah, though, all right. But now time to discuss about the number 1 spot. So yeah, I lied there. I wanted to, of course, go ahead and mention talk about the dishonorable mention in this whole entire video, and that is the Black Series Din Djarin in his in his tank trooper disguise. Now, here's really kind of the thing about this figure. It's just that really, in my opinion, this figure right here, I don't think was really meant to be something like great or cool, in my opinion. I think it was just sort of more or less just as a little kind of just sort of like, oh, we need a figure to fill out a whole entire wave. Oh, let's just put a Pedro Pascal head on there and let's just call it a day. Now this mold is just really, I don't know. It's just really, honestly, like, it really needs to be updated. This is the Mimban Han Solo mold, and it just really, just, again, I don't really know about it. It's just, like, especially for mine, the figure can't, again, stand for shit. He can't fucking hold his blaster correctly, and the head sculpt, okay, in my opinion, it doesn't look that great. Like, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I want to say something bad. I want to say something about this Pedro Pascal head sculpt, but if I do, I might get canceled. So I'm just gonna say looks like an average generic Mexican. No, actually, like a generic Guatemalan. If you know, you know. But yeah. So that is the dishonorable mention on the list. So let's now go ahead and talk about the number one spot. You know, really, out of all the figures on this list, I really have to be honest. This is a figure that I really, really. Here's the thing about it. For a while, I liked it. I did like this figure. And when I saw Luke Landspeeder post his initial reviews on this figure, I wasn't gonna say I didn't believe him, but I was just thinking to myself, okay, maybe he got a bad version from the Chinese factory that where all these figures are made of. Because again, he gets a lot of his figures early, and maybe some of them may not end up looking, maybe may not be like that, and all that sort of stuff, and whatnot, sort of have you. But no, so the number one spot has to go to the IG 100 Magma Guard. Now, the IG 100 Magma Guard, really, in my opinion, is everything wrong? Is really everything wrong you can do in a droid figure? First of all, the figure is super, like, he just can't stand really all that well. The figure is just way too short. And then also, by the way, the shoulder pads keep coming off. And really, just for the most part, it is a very disappointing release. It is just really disappointing. And this is a figure that and here's the thing about the battle droids. We are only now finally getting, you know, a Droidica, a B2 super battle droid. Probably eventually later down the line, we're gonna get the Commando droid because of that new Star Wars game. Outlaws, is it called? I don't know. But yeah, though, I mean, this right here is an example as to what not to do with with a droid sculpt. Again, I just really do not like. I wanted to like this figure. I really, really do, and it honestly just pains me to do it. But the IG 100 Magma Guard Trooper is my most least favorite figure from 2023. And that's pretty much it. That wraps up the video here today. Now, I want to end this video on a bit of a positive note. Now, here's just something that I want to really sort of briefly address about if a figure is bad and if a figure is like not so great. The people at Hasbro, you know, these people are human beings, you know, and as human beings, we're all not perfect and we make mistakes. We might not get everything right. And at the end of the day, what I really hope from Hasbro is that from the end of the day, I hope that they can maybe look at these figures, look at the criticism we said about these figures, and then that they can improve upon it. Now, again, each of these figures have something at least kind of worth their while. Like, I mean, hey, you know, Mon Mothma here, a figure that I didn't really talk that great about. She's on the shelf, and, you know, she's a very important part of the Star Wars universe. And, you know, I mean, there is a spot also, too, for Morgan. She's right next to Grand Admiral Thrawn and Marok, and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, Pre Vizsla down here, Yeah, Pre-Vizsla right here also has a place on the shelf. So ultimately, in the end of the day, I still think that 2024, I think it's going to be a really good year for Hasbro and the Black Series. They're announcing some new figures this upcoming week, I think, or maybe the next. I don't really know. But yeah, though, guys, I just want to just go ahead and just say thank you all so much for watching. And well, as of course you can see, kind of looking a bit kind of today. Definitely need to get rid of the beard. It's overstayed its welcome. And just want to say thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next video. Don't know what it will be, but we'll see.